Ayo! What's happening, friends? Friends of the Unleashed. I'd say Unleashed in the East, but it's actually the West. That's right, West Side. What's happening, everybody? It's another Wednesday night here at my house here, the Beach Mansion West. If you've never been to Wednesday night on the Unleashed channel, been doing this for 31 episodes already, 31 weeks worth of these, where I just kind of turn on the camera, turn on the mic, and whatever you guys throw at me, questions about my life, questions about life in general, history, present times, future times, my 25 years playing for Stephen Pearcy, the voice of Ratt. Anything you got for me, throw it at me, and I'll get to your question in the chat. And I don't know, we're just kind of like one big gang here, and everybody just kind of hangs out, and we just ask everybody to be respectful to each other, and that's about it. You know my saying, be cool and be kind to each other, unless you deserve bad treatment, and then that's a different story. But let me get in here tonight, because it looks like we already got the chat jumping. Wow, well, I don't know if Dotson's ever been first on board here at the Unleashed. Hello, everyone. Hope all is well. Yeah, everything's well. I managed to get Susan dinner before showtime. I do the Wednesday night shows a little earlier. Fright Bites are at 6 here on the West Coast, but the Wednesday night Unleashed Hangouts are at 5. And I try to have like a nice meal for Susan when she gets home from working at her human job. And so tonight I threw together some barbecue chicken, some corn, some home style beans, and hopefully she's cool with it. It's like it's all hot. She's gonna walk in and be like a nice meal there. I'm not there, so she'll probably appreciate that. That's just, she could just enjoy it in peace without having to hear me ramble on about stuff. But took care of that. Managed to get here in time for tonight. So I'd say I'm doing quite well. Well, look at this. We got Kevin Smith in the house. How you doing, Kevin? Thanks for taking my question last week. It's interesting to hear all the ish about, who. Rock on, rock star. Yeah. Yeah, everybody loves gossip, right? And, there'll be a time when that stuff will be behind me eventually, but I'm always here to like address anything in real time. You know what I mean? That way people are more educated, because the more you know, and that's it. Let me see here. Kevin Smith, Dotson, same. Yep, everybody's nice to each other here. Spicoli, I know that dude. 30 episodes. Fired up.
Hey, bud. Let's party. I know that, dude.
What are you people? On dope?
We know everybody's on dope here, at least a good 70% on there. But we appreciate Spicoli, Agent Spicoli. All right, who else is here tonight? We got JC in the house, y'all. I still need to pull up his shout out. I was able to see it. He sent it to the email, frightbitelive@gmail.com. If you got something to say to me. Sometimes when you win stuff on the Fright Bite, people have to email me their address for that. So that's how they do that, through that email. And I did get a couple people's mystery boxes out. I'll talk about that in a second. But Jay Krager says, howdy, buddy, and everyone. How you doing today? Doing quite well. Pretty chill day today. Wednesdays, I usually get up and just usually watch the Fright Bite from the night before. I kind of check out the show and see how the count did. And I didn't put all that much into the show last night, but it ended up being a good time. It's always a good time when Dolly Dark shows up. And I just say it was overall a great Fright Bite. If you didn't get to check it out, you could just go to the live section on the Unleashed channel, and all of those Fright Bites are up there, and all these live AMAs that I do are up there as well. Those are just the unleashed or what have you. But yeah, good amount of binge watching for you all if you haven't gotten yourself familiarized with the Fright Bite. It's just both shows I do each week are live, which is neat because you guys get to participate in it and be part of the show. And it's there forever on YouTube, or at least till my channel gets shut down, which, let's face it, that could be any second because I'm a dangerous guy. And on top of that, I'm a Sagittarius. So this thing, it's huge. It just flaps all the time. It says, it's like the man who said too much or knew too much. I don't know. I definitely don't know too much. I say too much. DLR screams for Kevin Smith, please. Oh, I could oblige that. Absolutely. Any of you guys catch David Lee Roth out on tour right now? My friend Sean McNabb is playing bass for David Lee Roth, and I think that's so cool. I've known Sean for well over a decade. He's always been super cool to me. Anytime I saw him, he's jammed with the Pearcy band a couple times, come up like at the Whiskey and stuff and jammed. And lo and behold, the guy nailed the gig to play bass for David Lee Roth. I mean, that's got to be for guys me and Sean's age. That's like a dream come true. I'm sure Sean had thought about playing in a band like Van Halen, or that's one of the bands that influenced him probably when he was young. And to be on stage with Roth, that's a pretty huge deal. You know what I mean? I know that Roth's mostly doing the Van Halen material. Luckily, not all the solo material, right? I mean, otherwise you'd be having to do some crazy Billy Sheehan stuff on there. I think the regular Van Halen stuff's pretty doable on the bass. So I'd say that's a pretty smooth gig for a bass player to get. And I'm glad it's working out well for him. He seems to be doing really great with it. So definitely congratulations to Sean for that. Kevin's saying smash. Get the thumbs up going. Smash that like button. Yeah, all that helps. I'm still a growing channel, right? It's like a growing young child. You have to nourish it. You have to give it some a juice box and some chips and a sandwich and a little brown bag and send me off to the races here. Cemetery Gay Dudes and Cheaters, of course. San Antonio representing. Yeah. San Antonio and the hizzy. That's all good. He is not packing a king size cone right now with some dank ass chronic right now. Oh, he's not doing that. Well, that's pretty awesome. Did you guys see that my buddy Pentagon Larry sent Count Cracula and Dahlia this super cool vampire wine, this Cabernet, what is it? I always say it wrong. Cabernet Sauvignon. But this is super cute. It came with like a vampire cape on here. And for the 30th episode of Fright Bite on Tuesday, the Count's going to crack this open. And he's not going to, jug it out of the thing. He's going to use his bite down on it glass that he got from Bailey and Ariel, and he's gonna sip some wine during the show. He's not gonna go nuts, but he is going to partake. And so, if you guys also or anybody's a wine drinker, you could partake next week too. But I thought I'd show that off. It's from the Vampire Vineyards, produced and bottled by Vampire Vineyards, and their catchphrase is "a taste of immortality." And so, thank you. I think it's super cool, like just over the decades, getting to meet so many of you over the years. And, let's face it, whether you work for the government or private sector, I mean, I meet so many people of all different walks of life getting to play for the amazing Stephen Pearcy, the legendary, iconic Stephen Pearcy over the years. So many people, younger than me, young kids even, and of course, people well into their 70s love Ratt. And I've said Steven's a national treasure in America. He spent probably most of his time playing in the United States. Of course, Ratt did do some touring outside of here. They were definitely big in Japan during their years as Ratt, and there's even the Japanese people hold Ratt dear to their heart, and will never give up hope to see Ratt again out here. And many of them even fly out to the United States to see shows this way. So Steven's definitely international, but I would say for the most part, he's been national for most of his years after that, the heydays of Ratt, and I consider him to be a national treasure here. Just the Ratt catalog being an iconic face of the 80s and everything. I mean, we're so lucky that he's still with us, and it's really neat to see a lot of young kids playing the Ratt songs on guitar, all instruments really. I think kids, in the for me, like from the time I turned 18, that kind of rocking guitar stuff got a little tamed. Guitar solos became illegal pretty much. You were only allowed to play like kind of pentatonic-y, bluesy type solos, simple stuff. Or you had to make noises like Rage Against the Machine. You could make like noisy guitar solos. Even Kurt Cobain, was good at that. But, let's face it, those guitar players probably influenced more kids to pick up a guitar than some of the crazier 80s guitar players did. Because I know for me, when I was just starting out in the 80s, I of course loved growing up on classic rock, the stuff my parents listened to what was ever on the rock radio while I was a little kid. The whole MTV, the whole heavy metal 80s thing that kicked in, or late 70s, for that matter. But by the time I started playing and some of these crazier guitar players started coming out, Tony McAlpine and Steve Vai and these like super shredders, I mean, it was like, whoa. I mean, most kids will never be able to play like that, most likely. And that's kind of sucks, in a lot of ways, because, music is such a special thing. And, there'd be a time where every family had a piano in the house or a guitar in the house. And, I think education was even better 100 years ago. I mean, kids would be taught how to do everything scholastically and musically. And they had more enriched programs. And I think just over the decades that got lost somewhere. And, it's almost rare. I mean, there's like maybe marching band at a regular high school, but that's probably it. But anyways, I'm just saying that it can discourage a lot of youngsters from thinking that they can enjoy music or go play in a band. And, that's silly. Most of us love songs. What I'd say, the vast majority of music listeners, they have songs that they love, and the guitar solo part's just a really short part of that. And some people will even say that there's no money to be made like past the 12th fret on a guitar. And there is some truth to that. I mean, I've watched the progression of guitar over the century, right? Starting with, people like Les Paul and stuff, playing some great guitar. I love, if you ever checked out actually Les Paul play guitar, the guy who designed the Les Paul, he's really great. I love that 50s style of rockabilly kind of rock guitar. And you have to be pretty good to have a feel for it. I feel like only now, after playing guitar for probably close to 40 years, am I even like, would I be comfortable even taking some lessons of rockabilly, kind of playing that picky stuff? You have to be good. But generally speaking, rock and roll has always been pretty simple. It was the working man's music, and it wasn't ever meant to be too complex or whatever. And I'm a rock guy personally. I'll always be that. That's in my soul. And I don't think I could change, from there. And guitar wise, I play anything with guitar in it. I can do pretty much a little bit, like a jack of all trades, master at none, I guess. But after all these years of playing, I got good enough. I got the feel in my fingers enough that I could be a studio guy too. And I was letting the listeners, watchers here, the Unleashed, know that Stephen Pearcy's new record, The Dog Mob, is super awesome. It's got so many great songs on there. And Matt Thorne, the bass player, is also the studio engineer and producer of this record. And he's busy right now in mix mode, mixing these ones. And yesterday he sent me probably my favorite song on the album, because it's also going to be the single on there. It's called On the Edge. And it's such a badass tune. I'm like so proud of this. And Matt did an amazing job mixing it, and I listened to it first on my phone, and it sounded pretty good. Just, you just have your phone and just turn it up, listen on your phone. That changes kind of the sound, accentuates certain things and whatever. But a lot of people will hear it on their phone first, right? Then you listen to it on some headphones on the phone. Then you got to take it out into your car and you got to turn it up. And today was that day, where I had to go to the post office because I had to send some Fright Biters out, some Wheel of Misfortune prizes that had to get out. One to Gary and one to Jim Martinez went out today. And while I was heading to the post office, I had the pleasure, if you're a musician that's ever played original music or recorded original music, and you get to that point where you get to give the car test, where you stick it in your car. Usually it used to be a CD. Now it's just plugging your phone into the USB port, right? But anyways, turn it in. And yes, I had to turn it up all the way as far as it goes and just crank it and drive through my town of Oceanside, cranking this song that people are going to lose their minds over. On the Edge from Stephen Pearcy. I did let one of my best friends and biggest supporters of the channel, you guys know her, Marsha. I don't even know if she's here tonight, but I did let Marsha hear it. So at some point, if she's here tonight, she could tell you what she thought of it or whatever. I very few, when you're in this position, you don't want it to get leaked out, to the public, but you'll let your family or really close friends get a whiff of it, so they know what to expect, and maybe at least tell people, also tell them that it's great too, right? You have to do that just in preparation leading up to it. All right, Cemetery Gates, Strain, Gold Cash Gold. Yeah, Warrior X is here, everybody. Hey, 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 hey. We got anyone have been listening to the new Metal Church? I'm digging it hard. The addition of Ken Mary on chops and Brian Allen vocals is pretty rad. And of course, Ellefson. Yeah, I didn't know Dave Ellefson was even playing in Metal Church. That's interesting. That's really interesting. I have to say, in my youth, I did buy the Metal Church record when it came out. It was like Watch the Children Pray, right? There was 2 songs on there I remember thinking were super awesome. Watch the Children Pray and Ton of Bricks. I was like, at the time, I mean, that sound was still kind of new, that heavy metal or thrash, really, right? Thrash bands, like those bands were so new at that time. They had only just started coming out around 80, 81, 82. So to me, it was super cool. I have my kid record player, and I'd go buy the vinyls typically because I wanted to see the big picture. You know what I mean? I wanted to pull the sleeve out. I want to smell it. I want to spin it on my fingers. No, I didn't. I never did that. I am terrible at taking care of things like records, though, unfortunately. And I'll tell you, a lot of the 80s records, they didn't have like all good songs on it, if we could be real. I feel like by the mid 80s, a lot of those bands had maybe 2 bangers on there. They had to have 2 bangers if they wanted to keep their record deal. But 2 bangers to help push it and be able to have 2 MTV songs to do videos for, right? They'd have to have their ballad, their third song would probably be their ballad, right? And then it would get a little wishy-washy after that, maybe some cover song or something. The rest of the records usually weren't that good. And for me, I couldn't listen to like whole albums most of the time on those bands. After a while, I would have to like pick up the needle and drop it on what looked to be the next song, but it wasn't. You'd be like, oh, that's not it. And when you're like just a dirty teenager dirtbag, you're just like, you're just scratching it all over. And my records would get skippy and ruined pretty quick. And then I'd be having it so loud that it would also skip and stuff too. My dad got me into like buying a record and then taping it right away. Like buy the record and then make a tape of it so you could screw the tape up. You still have to end up like fast forwarding it and stuff like that. I know we're dating ourselves here, but then the CDs came out, and even though those were way cheaper to produce, maybe a little more expensive than a tape was, but the CD was pretty basic, and they really charged a lot for those when they first came out. I mean, it seems like by today's standards, it'd be like charging $40 or something. It was like $20 back in the 80s for a CD in the late 80s. That's nuts, right? It was that much, wasn't it? I mean, occasionally they'd be on sale for $14.99 or $12.99. That's still a lot of money by 1988. Money. I could never really afford to buy a lot of records. You know what I mean? There was my parents' records. They had a pretty decent classic rock record collection. And then there was the records that I would just have to take a gamble on from bands, you know. I did make sure I went and saw every like concert that came to like the sports arena as soon as I was like 16. I was making sure I got to all those. And back then, those tickets at Ticketmaster were only like $20 to go see, you know, whatever band. I mean, even bands like Testament, I would go see. Surprisingly, they weren't playing huge places. I would see Testament at a place called the California Theater, which was a theater, right? Even though they're considered one of the big four, they were playing theaters at that time. Some of these bands, it's true, they're seeing more success today than they were probably even seeing at that particular time in the 80s. Well, speaking of Super Carrots, she's here, everybody. Marsha B, she's here. She had to feed the kitties. The song is amazing. So she heard me. Yeah, she's one of the few people I let hear this. Just, you know, even partially, she was always a huge Ratt fan. She loves Stephen Pearcy, and that's probably how she came across me in the first place. Anyway, because of Stephen. And knowing that, I just wanted her to hear how special this song is. You know, I wrote it. No, I wrote the music. What's funny is the song, I probably gave it to Stephen like 7 years ago. When you guys hear it, you're like, what? 7 years ago? Where's it been? I don't think he even remembered that I sent it. You know what I mean? It's like I come up with the composition at home, and I give him pretty much a 3-minute and 30-second song that's completely laid out with drums, guitars, bass. I'll throw a scratch guitar solo on it right before I send it. I don't even usually spend too much time on that. Like, I go, shit, I should probably put a solo on here so he knows that this section's for that, so he doesn't come up with vocals over that spot or something. And then I'll just kind of poop out something almost as a placeholder, you know what I mean? And I'll send it to him. But like 9 times out of 10, that solo I did was great for the song. I think that's because I'm in the moment, you know what I mean? I'm so deep into this song, recording all the parts, that my mindset, the whole vibe is there. So it's almost better to do it right then than it's going to be way later when I've totally not feeling in the same mood I was when I wrote it. You know what I mean? But that was the case with this one. Like the solo that's on there is the scratch solo that I set off the demo, and we decided to keep it. It was really Matt's decision, you know, if it needed to be redone or if they were going to give it to somebody else, you know what I mean, to do a solo on it. But most of my songs, I think I wrote 8 of them that are on there, and I think only one had like Doug Aldrich or something playing the solo on it. So most of it will be my solos. Austin Ingram played on one of Steven's songs. He's pretty great. If you're not familiar with him. And who else? Well, Joel Hoekstra, I think, plays on one of Steven's tunes. So some good guitar players on there, a couple drummers. Of course, Bloss Elias playing on most of it. I know on this On the Edge song, I don't know if Steven announced it yet, but I guess because you guys are my audience, I'll tell you. But Will Hunt's playing on it, and he's pretty awesome drummer, of course, from Evanescence. And he was playing in Godsmack for a minute, and I would assume because he had probably Evanescence dates, they ended up getting Mike Mangini in there, which of course he's phenomenal drummer. So Godsmack's got a pretty solid band. Of course, Sam Bam, everybody loves, and he's got that gig too. So been some dudes getting their come ups, man, getting some big gigs out there. Always good to see. I'm always happy for those people, especially the ones that are nice, that were, like I said, you know, I use Sean McNabb as an example. Like, he's somebody who was always so gracious to me, and then when you see him get a gig, you're happy for him, as opposed to like somebody who maybe wasn't nice to you and they get a break and you're like, oh, what's up, you know? That's the only time I get probably mad. I'm always happy for the people that deserve it. Are cool. Jim Martinez is here. Good evening, brother Eric. Well, sir, good evening. I sent out your package today, Jim. Your mystery box. I call it a box, but it ends up kind of being an envelope. But yeah, on Fright Bite, if you win something and you prefer to get a mystery mystery box, I kind of go through. It's probably going to be Ratt related or Pearcy related. It'll probably be something I dig into the archives and stick in some pics or whatever, different things. Otherwise, it's usually Fright Bite scary stuff, Fright Bite t-shirts and posters and these things. But if you've already won something on there, you can ask for a mystery box instead, so you don't get two of the same thing. Dot said, I wonder what Erik prepared for dinner. It was pretty basic. I mean, the oven's off limits right now, according to Susan, because it's summertime, and so she doesn't want the place getting hot, and then so that's fine. So I'm going to be the pan fryer guy, and that's it. I just put a little olive oil in the pan and threw a couple boneless chicken breasts on there and squeezed some chipotle barbecue sauce onto it and just kind of pan fried them. I took a big can of like Winco beans and a Winco corn. Pretty basic, you know what I mean? Poverty meal that I probably would have made in my poverty days. But sometimes those get you by, man, and they're not too bad for you, right? And hey, it's a home cooked meal that she didn't have to bother with. When you get home, the last thing you want to do after working all day is pull a bunch of stuff out and cook for an hour. You don't want to do that. If somebody's got it for you, you appreciate it, right? So I'm pretty sure when I go out there, there's going to be a dirty dish in the sink for me to clean. That's hers. That means she ate it all. So that's good. Stony Jackson's here, y'all. Evening, everyone. Evening, Stony. Thank you, sir, for promoting all my shows. I appreciate it. If you guys aren't subbed up to the channel, make sure you are. And Cemetery had a chicken Caesar salad tonight. That sounds good. You just got to watch it with the dressings. You know what I mean? That's where people are like, I ate healthy tonight. I had a salad. And then they pour about 3,000 calories of dressing on it. It's kind of... Oil and vinegar is probably the healthiest thing you're going to put on a salad. I know that gets kind of, after a while, we just want to dump a bunch of ranch on it. I'm a blue cheese guy. What about you? What's your go-to dressing, guys, for if you do break down and do something healthy like a salad? What's your dressing you like to put on it? Whew. John Evans is here to get unleashed, everybody. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Danger is my business.
It is. It is my business. Looking dapper, my dude. Dapper, really? I'm looking 90s in my flannel. I just got this. It was an eBay purchase. It's a Rockin' Republic flannel. I feel like I got a pretty decent deal on it. It was new with tags. I've talked about this on earlier episodes if you haven't heard them, but I had to buy new clothes because I lost a bunch of weight. So now, instead of buying large and a 32 waist on jeans and stuff like that, I'm a medium now, in case you're shopping for clothes for me. And jeans wise, I'm down to a 30-inch waist. It was a 31, and now I'm like, damn, that's too big too. And so I'm down to a 30-inch waist on jeans and stuff. So I had to buy some new clothes, and that sucks kind of when you have to spend money on that stuff. But I had a lucky night at one of the casinos that we played. I don't know if you saw that from the road vlogs, but I had won like $500. It was so cool. We had played a fun show, and we were going to meet up to eat at one of the restaurants. They had given us all this like credit to eat for free at the casino. And while we were waiting for a table, it was like, well, I guess I could go blow $20 on a machine. And they had my favorite machine, which I highly recommend if you're ever going to gamble and don't want to lose your butt too bad. It's the multi-spin poker. To me, in my opinion, that's the safest, one of the safest things you could go in and play the longest amount of time. You're probably not going to win a crap load of money, but you can win a little bit of money. Slot machines are what you're going to win the most money potentially on, but those things, I think most people lose more money on slot machines than they end up winning. But I feel like I could pretty much break even or get a little bit of come ups on a multi-reel poker. If you're not familiar, it's where you have more than just the one hand. Now that one hand that you typically get's important because whatever you hold from that hand, you're gonna be able to hold that card for all whatever amount of hands, multi-hands you're doing on a multi-reel spin video poker machine. For me, I like what was it? Like maybe a 10 hand. I like maybe a 10 hand multi-hand is pretty good. And this machine, it was like a 25-cent machine. If you could do nickel machine, you might be able to play a little longer. But I was feeling a little cavalier. I'm like, 25-cent machine. I'm going to do a max bet on here. Because that way, when you're doing a max bet on these machines, you could get this extra little spinny thing. It's like a bonus multiplier. It says, and it's like times 2, times 3, times 5, times 10, maybe times 100 in some cases. I don't know, but it'll take whatever your winnings are going to be for this hand that's about to play, and it'll multiply it. But you can only do that if you're like max betting. If you have a problem with gambling, please call Gamblers Anonymous. I'm not trying to trigger anyone to get out there. I never really gamble, and most of the time that I go to these casinos, I don't even bother with it. I'm there to get paid, and I just go home. But this particular night, we were waiting anyway, and I was like, I'm killing time. So I go up to this machine. I put in $20. The first hand goes, I picked whatever. It won. I think I broke pretty much even, or I was only down like about $1. Second spin, max bet. This thing gets all kinds of good stuff. One of the hands was where it gets like 4 of a kind with like a 2 kicker. It was like 4 4s and a 2. So that was a pretty big paying hand. Then there was a bunch of like full houses and, 3 of a kinds and stuff. Anyways, $500. This hand was $500. I let one more hand play after that. And then it was a total loser. No winners at all. I'm all boop, cashed out, took that 500 home. Took everybody that was with me. We went out to a restaurant, and I had some credits left from the casino. Got everybody's food that night. I got to look like the hero, but it was really not my money. It was the casino's, but I just had to pay the tip. Wasn't much. But anyways, totally fun time. It makes me miss playing those casinos. I'll tell you, I've heard people make fun of bands that play casinos. Those are the raddest gigs. It's a circuit. Once you're in, it's pretty great. You know what I mean? You don't pay for anything really. They're hoping that you're going to gamble, but and I'm sure if Steven likes to gamble, I'm sure there's times where he gave them probably back all the money we made there. But me, I'm pretty conservative with that sort of thing. And if they don't have that multi-spin poker, I don't even play. I won't even do slot machines or anything like that. You guys like to play? Do you gamble at all? Spicoli, no shades tonight, Rockstar? No, I don't typically wear shades. I feel like maybe for the thumbnail I do, but for these lives, I think you guys need to see my eyes, you know what I mean? Just to like know if I'm being sincere or not, you know what I mean? I think you could tell a lot through these. Spicoli's saying that he saw Lynch playing with your band. What's up with that, dude? Yeah, we had played a show, I believe it was in 2024, and Lynch Mob opened up. And of course, Dawkins goes back to Sunset Strip, and Stephen and George have known each other this entire time, of course. And, there's a little bit of history, with all those guys knew each other, Warren and Jake and George and stuff. They were like the West Coast gunslingers. I remember when we did the Mickey Ratt re-recordings, I think it was called Rat Attack. Those songs ended up being like Mickey Rourke the Wrestler. There were some other movies too that used some of those recordings too, where I'm playing the guitars on there. But they're the re-recordings. I didn't write the songs. They're the Rat songs. Mostly the Rat hits, a couple of the Mickey Ratt songs. But one of the coolest things about it was George Lynch came in and played solos on like probably 4 or 5 of the songs, which was, for me at the time, this was like back in 2003, right? I was a huge George Lynch fan. I bought all the Dawkins records just because of him, because of his guitar playing. And so for me, that was a big that was just another cool thing to reinforce that I was going in the right direction, that I was on. Now I was making vinyl records with my heroes, or whatever. So that was super sweet. So there was a little history there. And he's just like pretty fearless on guitar kind of guy anyway. And, we're like, hey, George, we want to come up and play tonight? He was like, yeah, what the hell? And he came out and just, did his own solo on Round and Round. He just played his own thing on there, but it was pretty sweet, man. It was just it was an awesome memory for me, right? Looking over, and there's George Lynch. I'm playing on stage with George Lynch. I'd played that record or whatever with him, but here I was playing on stage, and it was super cool. And I guess Spicoli came across a video of it, so good stuff. That's the story, and I'm sticking to it. Via Extraterrestrial, what's up, my man? Bean and cheese burritos are great. He knows. Do you get the Winco beans and Winco corn? I gotta get the cheapest one. I mean, I'm sure if you get like the Bush beans, it's better, right, or something. But I don't know, man. It's like you go grocery shopping. If you're gonna get the most expensive thing of every item you're getting, you're gonna pay like $30 or to $40 more for everything. Let me see. Aegis Piccoli. I like it. Hello, everyone. What is up, Eric? You know what? I'm going to take a quick commercial break because Matt's telling me something here on the record, and I just want to see what he's saying. So this today's Fright Bites brought to you by Wolf's Pee. 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 Wherever fine fragrances are sold. Wolf's Pee, y'all. Yeah, Agent Skunk, we found out that he's moonlighting as an actor. He's doing commercials and stuff. So pretty amazing. But yeah, the Fright Bite finally got its first sponsor, Wolf's Pee Cologne for men. So that's pretty dope. Kenny Hale. Hello, everyone. What's up, Eric? What's up, Kenny? How you doing, buddy? Kenny's part of my my Texas crew, I believe, when Skojo and everybody that comes out. You might have even seen him in some of the road vlogs. LA style. Eric, are you going to attend the San Diego Comic-Con? I would like to do that. I know it's here. It's funny story. My dad's a great guy. But what, you always have a couple things you're mad at your parents for still, you never forgive them for. One of them was when I was 12 and I wanted so badly to go to the Comic-Con. And at that time I was into comic books. I had all the G.I. Joe comic books. I had Punisher, stuff like that. I mean, I wasn't like a real collector or anything. I just got comics I liked, and it was usually war comics and that sort of thing. But Comic-Con, it seemed like it fairly a newer thing back then, even though I don't know, it might have been going on since the 70s. I don't know, but this was probably in 1982 or 3. And my dad agreed. He's like, yeah, that's cool. I'll take you down there. So we drive all the way down to downtown San Diego. We're North County, right? So it took like, 40, 50 minutes to get down there and park and all that stuff. We finally get to wherever it was, a convention center or something. And we get into the lobby and we get there. I don't know how much it was for one day, but my dad's like, he's like, grab some free shit here. We're out of here. There was like, they had some free like takeaway stuff. And man, if you ever saw a disappointed 12-year-old, I was like, what? I was so excited to go to this. And he's like, oh, I'm not paying $40 to get in here. I'm like, you make 150 grand and it's 1983. I don't know. Whatever. It's okay. I'm a grown man. If I want to go to Comic-Con, I could pay with my own vampire dollars I made from the Fright Bite, and I could go down there. And you know what? Someday, if my dad's ever out here when Comic-Con's going on, I'll take my dad. I'll take him to the Comic-Con we never went to. I watched a bit of the Fright Bite today. What'd you think? It's the Fright Bites. What's cool about it is anybody that's watching it live becomes a part of it, and they're like actually a part of the show. And it's like, even though they're watching this thing, we're talking to them and stuff, and that's kind of makes it interesting. Otherwise, it's kind of weird. I know next week will be it's the 30th episode, so I'm going to try to produce something really cool for it and have a mission. I call them missions. It's Dr. Von Brainscan from the underground top secret laboratory gives Count Cracula and Dahlia missions and Agent Skunk to go out and hunt down other vampires and bad guys that usually have escaped from the lab. In a lot of cases, they were grown in a lab. They're lab grown monsters. And, we get vampire dollars to go out and hunt them down and bring them back to the lab. And that's a lot of work to make those episodes, but I have fun doing it, and it's finally catching on. People are like, for a podcast, this is pretty unique and cool. And I have to say it is. I think I just personally was getting so like bored of podcasts. I loved podcasts just like you guys all through the pandemic. I was like, I was totally into watching all these different people's podcasts. And then I just got tired of them. It was just like the same thing all the time. And I don't know, they got a little silly to me. And so with the Fright Bite, it was kind of a spoof on podcasts. And since, of course I love all the schlocky, monster, Universal Studios monster stuff, I came up with the idea of doing a Fright Bite. It originally came up on the Chris Aiken Presents when I was Chris Aiken's co-host. We wanted to do like a members only special thing. And I go, what about doing a Fright Bite? And we'll only have it for the members. They have to be like a paid member that shows up. And that was a good intention, I guess. And we only did it once a month. But the truth is, it wasn't being seen by a lot of people. And another hurdle was we would watch a crappy movie from Tubi. That was the whole selling point. We were like, hey, it's a movie watch along. And we didn't have much of a budget, so Chris would just turn Tubi on and, put on whatever the movie was. But for that reason, we couldn't leave it up for very long. We would just have it up for about 24 hours, and then we'd have to yank that entire Fright Bite off our members only section of his Chris Aiken Presents channel. So a lot of work for something that was probably only being seen from anywhere from 5 to 10 people, back then. And I'm like, man, this thing could be pretty cool if it was mainstream. So when Chris put the kibosh on the Chris Aiken Presents, and I decided to fire this channel up, I go, you know what? I'm going to bring the fun that is the Fright Bite. I'm going to make it available to everyone and do it every week. And man, when I said that, I forgot how much work they could potentially be. And it was a big undertaking, especially for like the first kind of 5 or 10 episodes. It's just like when you start a new job and you don't know what the hell you're doing and they're showing you what to do and you're like, crap. And it's like, you don't even know if you think you're going to get fired, or you don't even know if you're going to be there in a week. It was kind of like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, what did I get myself into here? But the show just started to write itself. Dahlia Dark showed up just as the thing started, which is totally weird because she's a huge part of the show. You know what I mean? We have that male-female dynamic going on there, which I think is super cool. It's like the show brings in an eclectic audience. And I made mention last night that I really thought that was a winning combo. You know what I mean? Or just the fact that I have so many different kinds of people and backgrounds and stuff, that to me, that says it's a show that's liked by a bigger audience and has a potential to be more wider received. Now, do the Ratt fans like it? Nah, for the most part, I'm going to say most of them don't watch it because, I have over 2,000 subscribers, and I'd say we get about, 200 or 300 people that'll tune in to watch it. But that's okay. I'm sticking with it. Like, to me, if I was playing a show locally here at a club or something as a new band, and 300 people showed up, I would be thinking we're going to be the next hugest thing. And that's the truth. If that many people showed up to a club to watch my original band play, I would have very big confidence that cool things were going to happen down the road. And we are getting that many people. When less than 100 show up to something, you start to go, what can I do to get this kind of going? But it is going in the right direction. Thank you to everybody that shows up to it. And if you can't make it, that's okay too. Watch the replay and leave a comment. Tell us what you thought about it, or just say hi. It's okay. Well, I'll answer you. And I even told Dahlia to get in there and start answering people too. Scuff, thoughts of doing your own solo band in between Pearcy shows? Yeah, the latest thought that I had on that was to do a goth industrial band with Dahlia, because I love that kind of music too. I was a huge fan of Nine Inch Nails and Ministry and bands like that. I even like the Newly Deads, if you're familiar with Tammy's side band. A lot of people hated that band, apparently. I didn't. I thought it was awesome. I like that kind of stuff, and I always thought it'd be cool to play something like that live. So I was considering, as I'm developing songs for the show, like a lot of times I go on missions to a goth nightclub and you'll hear some goth industrial music playing and stuff. Like, since I have to write the music for that anyway, I was like, man, when I get enough of these songs, maybe we should just start writing some vocals over it and start like booking some gigs, just kind of like, I don't know, like a Fright Bite live, we play songs and stuff. I thought that would be cool. I have tried to do solo stuff before, like in 2007, I had a band called the Anti-Division. And that too, a lot of work to, of course, write the music and everything by myself, but then finding band members to play. When you don't have a big budget, that's really tough. Like, I would say now, if I, when Steven retires or whatever, if I do decide to do something with the people that I've gotten to know over the years, maybe other known people of my caliber or whatever, I'd have to pay those dudes. You know what I mean? And it's not that I wouldn't. I would be willing to, but I would take everything that I've ever learned about making mainstream rock music, everything I've learned about marketing, everything I've learned about the whole enchilada, before I would even, risk something like that. Cause it is a lot of investment of your heart and soul and your wallet. But I would potentially try to do something like that. Maybe at that time. What keeps me from doing it nowadays, it's like, by the time you put in all the work, I get a call from Steven that we're heading back on the road. Even if he's doing something with Ratt or, this DeMartini thing, I know that within 6 or 8 months, I'm going to get a call that there's a run of solo shows or something. So as soon as that happens, you lose momentum with whatever that thing is. And truth be told, like, I get paid so well for doing the Pearcy thing compared to probably not getting paid anything for a brand new band, that it's like, man, it's almost better to just chill out and wait, till Pearcy fires it up again. But again, there's going to be a time where that comes to an end, and I will, being that I'm 17 years younger than him, I'm going to probably still go out and play. Most of us have to work until we're 65, right? I'm sure all you guys, none of you are retiring early that are here tonight. You're probably got to keep an income coming in into your late 60s, right? And I'm looking at it the same way. I'm 53 right now, so I'm going to try to stay healthy. I'm going to try to still make a living in music and just creating stuff. I am doing this channel. I have a goal. I want to get this channel up to like 5,000 to 7,000 subscribers. You guys can help me with that, just letting people know about it and stuff, maybe sharing my videos on Facebook or something. Turns out my audience is a little older. I was looking at the analytics. I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, if you look at these analytics, it's saying everybody's over 65. Dahlia had a point that maybe nobody's actually saying their age and it's defaulting to that or something, because we had people saying, no, I'm 30, I'm 27, I'm 40, I'm 50. It seems pretty wide range when I talk to people in the chat, but according to the YouTube analytics, it's like, your audience is about to collect Social Security. I'm totally cool with that. I'm not an ageist or whatever, those people that discriminate. I'm happy that anybody's here. I don't care how old you are, as long as you're an adult, because Of course, sometimes I talk about adult topics, and I can start dropping bad language and stuff. Apologies, sort of apologies. I heard you're never supposed to apologize for a performance. My 8th grade acting teacher taught me that, Miss Tomlinson. But and I do think that's true. I think you should never, when you're in a band, never apologize for a performance, because no matter how bad it was probably entertaining, and they got their money's worth anyway, no matter what happened. But if you were speaking, and you ever misspoke or something, it's okay to apologize for it. Or if you showed a side of yourself that maybe wasn't your best side, you know what I mean? It's okay to maybe apologize to some people that might have been horrified by it or freaked out. I'm a Jersey kid. I'm a Jersey kid from the 1970s. So you get me upset, man, I could get Jersey on your butt real quick. I'm not always that way. I think people that have known me for a really long time, I would hope that they described me as a pretty stony, funny character guy that just, makes work a little more fun when you work with me somewhere, or you're in a band with me or something like that. I'm definitely, I think I'm a fine person to play in a band with, as long as I'm getting paid. I mean, there's been a couple times I've talked about this where I've gotten some national gigs, and then they thought that I was going to get out there and they just weren't going to pay me for a month or something. You know what I mean? Then I can kind of start to not be cool to work with. I do, we had an agreement, you know what I mean? You gotta pay me when I'm out there to work, just like any job. If you guys were like told you're going to get paid every week, and then you're into week 2 or 3 and they haven't given you your paycheck, you're going to start being not so great to work with at your job, right? It's not just me. Spicoli's saying, be cool if Matt came on, dude. He's mixing music right now. He was mixing music last Wednesday, and he's mixing music right now. He is in MT Studios. Today he's mixing a song called Scream Machine, which is one Stephen Pearcy wrote. It's got Jimmy Deanda on the drums, which is pretty cool. This is a Pearcy song. I like it. It reminds me of The Sweet. It's kind of got a barroom blitz type vibe to it. And I do actually play the guitar solo on it. And it's just cool. It's got an old school, late 70s kind of rock and roll, heavy rock vibe to it, and good stuff. He's mixing that one today. Yesterday was On the Edge, which I know that one's going to be the single, and that one's the banger, dude. That's the one that people are going to remember. And yeah, Marsha got to hear it today, so that was pretty cool. Good shot, Jansen. Tuesday and Wednesday with Erik are my fave days of the week. Oh, hey, that makes me very happy to hear. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I figured, Tuesday and Wednesdays do usually suck, right? I mean, you got so many days left to get through the work week and everything. And hey, if you can look forward to hanging out with your friends here from the Unleashed channel, that is cool. And it's people aren't just here for me. I mean, when I see everybody saying hi to each other, I almost get a tear in my eye. I'm all cried out though, man. I'm all cried out. Johnny Ponder's here, folks. Late to the party. Sorry. He's been trimming his trees outside. Steven is the best, in my opinion. Yeah, Steven is awesome. Somebody was just telling me that for their birthday, Steven said he'd send them out something, and I guess Steven did. He does like that. Steven's cool like that. He likes to not only mail people out, fans out presents sometimes, but he'll put special stuff in there. Even if they bought something from him, he usually sticks a little something extra in there for them just to keep them happy. And he's a generous guy. I think he's generous with the public. He's even like I say, he's always out smoking cigarettes and stuff at hotels and things, and sometimes we're playing downtown, and just like anywhere in the country, if you're downtown, you're always going to see homeless people mulling around downtown, and Steven's like always handing those guys money and stuff all the time. Cigarette here, have a cigarette, here's some money. He's just generous, good-hearted guy like that. He's not stuck up in any way. Spicoli, I'm hearing the Pearcy wants to smoke with Spicoli. Give us the scoop, dude. Oh my goodness. Spicoli.
What are you people? On dope?
Let's have us a champagne jam.
Yeah, man. To us, that's just our way of life. You know, we're like Jamaicans. And I don't know, it's just our whole life. That was just something we did for fun. It's just our maintenance tighten up. For us, it's not really partying. It's just woo. It's a little tighten up. But yeah, if you're around and you guys are smoking, chances are we'll jump in and smoke too. Johnny Ponder wants to smoke with Steven and Spicoli. Just re-up today. See, yeah, we're finding out that you kind of got to be a little stony to watch the Fright Bite, at least, you know. Spicoli's all excited about that. Shoto's here, everybody. Hey, what's happening, Shoto? Konnichiwa from Japan. Well, we're very thankful that you're here tonight. Hi, Shoto. Skylar's saying konnichiwa. Yes. Skylar's looking forward to Fright Bite number 30 next Tuesday. It's going to be a banger for sure. I'm going to try to do a little everything. I'm going to try to have some bits. Count Crack is going to sing some songs. He's going to drink some vampire wine. If you're late tonight, Pentagon Larry gave me this awesome, I can never say it right, Cabernet Sauvignon. I've never was really a big wine connoisseur, you know, but yeah, it's got a vampire cape, and I think that's super cool, man. Love it, love it, love it. And we're gonna open this up, and the Count's gonna do some sips during the Fright Bite. Good stuff. He wants a preview of On the Edge, dude. Oh, man. Pearcy might do it. I just feel like it's not my place to do it. I mean, Pearcy bankrolled this whole thing himself. You know what I mean? I was bad enough sending Marsha the track in its entirety, but she has been a huge friend to me and a supporter of the show. And sometimes you got to do special things for the special people in your life. So she's one of the there's only going to be probably less people than I can count on this hand that are going to hear that song before it comes out. But you may get a teaser from Pearcy. Susie's here, y'all. Nothing better than great tunes cranked up in the car. Yep, it is. Skylar's got his party hats going. Jay Krager's enjoyed vinyl records and cassette tapes. Yeah, I got some of my old, there's a bin in my closet that's got the old CDs and cassettes and stuff. I don't know what happened to my vinyls. They're worthless, to be honest. Like I said, I was so bad at like scratching them up and stuff, trying to find certain songs on records. And then, of course, in the 80s, too, when rap came out and you saw everybody going, I mean, who didn't try to do that? Like, whether you liked rap or not, I'm sure all you guys grabbed your record player and went, can you do that on here? It just totally destroy your Kiss records. I don't know. It's possible. Jim would love to check out the new single. Well, I don't know, man. Again, woof. I'm taking a big risk letting people even hear it, or Steven happens to be listening to the show and knows I let somebody hear it. He might fire me, dude. No, I don't think he's going to fire me. I wrote the song. You know what I mean? But he'd probably be like, hey, man, be careful what you're posting, dude. Probably something like that. Well, the newlyweds here, Jerome Davis, the Leo. Now it's he's since he's got married, he changed his name. Everybody, but always happy to have Jerome Davis in the house. Good to have you here, my friend. And Skylar's happy to see Marsha. All right, what's Johnny Ponder got to say about it? He's been making it known on social media about JG Wednesday 13 and not cool with that, dude. You told us about it. Keep rocking, bro. Yeah, I appreciate that. You should get the word out. And, you know, like I said, the Ratt fans would want nothing to do with that site if they knew the damage he's caused to us. You would want to unsub from it. But, yeah, you know, I think everybody gets theirs. Every dog has his day. I don't even know if that's the right expression. Does every dog has his day mean that's a good day or a bad day? I thought it was a good day. Every dog has his day. That sounds like it's a good day. I don't even know if that's the right expression to use. Johnny Ponder wants you to hit that like button. Just do what he says, please. He's scary. Johnny Ponder. Do you know Mick Sweeta? I saw some photos of his bullet budge and it scared me. I don't know if I've met him. I mean, I used to go see the Bullet Boys play when I was a teenager. I used to go to Iguanas in Tijuana, and I used to go see the original Bullet Boys play. I've seen him play a bunch of times when he wasn't in the band, and they've had other guitar players, and I haven't got to see Mick play with them. So I'm going to say I haven't met him yet, or his bulge. Yeah, Stevie Rochelle bringing big attention to Mick's crotch. Luckily, he didn't just get out of the pool, right? You know, I mean, he was just feeling confident at that time, and the picture happened to get taken. So good for Mick. All right. Snake Plissken over here. I like that. A little Escape from New York reference. One of my favorite movies when I was a kid. He's from Minnesota, and he likes French dressing. You know, French dressing has its moments. Sometimes on a burger, French dressing can be interesting. I don't know if you've ever tried it on your burger too. I'm not opposed to French dressing. Once in a while, it's good. Once in a while, I'm not so against it. Spicoli's saying he's so hungry. Oh man, where's my one thing I wanted to say? My one drop I was looking for. Oh yeah, here it is.
Immediate reaction is no, but I've got kind of a yesy aftertaste.
Love that. Okay. Oh, hey, man. Got Brad Stalker here tonight, folks. Logan's dad, we are all still waiting to see those online leather pants you scored a while back. I can reach them from here, but hang on. They're these. These are the leather pants that I foolishly bought off of Facebook. God damn it! Never buy anything off of there when you're high late at night. So I was on Facebook, and they always have. Oh, sorry. They always have advertisements on there for stuff they think you want to buy. And I saw what looked to be some cool stage pants. And I was like, hey, man, those look cool. Oh, $50. And the company was called OK Wear. I mean, that should have been a tip-off, you know. OK Wear. We're okay. You know, it should have been like, if it was Awesome Wear or something, maybe it would have been a better gamble. But OK Wear turned out to be a store in China. And with all the high tariffs and everything, $50 pants, I would say 40 of those dollars went to tariffs, and the pants probably were only $10. So you're really thinking you're getting a good deal if you were buying something here in the States, maybe. But no, they were very, very, very thin material that I would not trust doing any of the rock moves. You know, if spreading your legs out this way, ooh, you could lose something here in the middle, could pop out. I mean, I would definitely tell Mick Sweeta not to wear these pants from OK Wear on stage, because somebody could get their eye poked out, perhaps, you know. Manuela Zaga, hello. Been listening last few weeks and likes my podcast. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. You liked it enough to come back. The more the merrier, and I do appreciate you being here. Pleasure to meet you. Stoney Jackson, he's played quite a few casinos, drank and ate for free, really nice accommodations. Oh, I love it, man. It's like, there's a lot of things I love about playing casinos. One, it's all in-house. You don't have to the whole rigmarole of like, all right, it's time for sound check. Let's drag our stuff into the car or go drive to this place. And then you got to go do sound check. And then you got to drive back to the hotel. And sometimes the hotel could be like anywhere from like right across the street to 30 minutes away. I mean, if you're playing like a bike fest, what's the one in South Dakota? they have the big bike fests out there. Man, those hotels are sold out for long stretches. Like you might have an hour to get to the hotel. But anywho, a casino, all that's in the same place. It's just a matter of like getting on the elevator or something to go back to your room. And they typically give you food credits and stuff. And the only thing you have to pay is like if you bought alcohol or if there's a tip or something, they want you to pay the tip. But otherwise, you're eating like a king. You eat too much. 2024, I feel like we played pretty much like every casino in the United States, and damn it if I didn't gain like 30 pounds. Marsha's saying hello to Skylar and Spicoli. Tika's all right. Whew. Today, Marsha's saying marks the 1 year ago that Ozzy passed away. Wow, that's nuts, right? I mean, that seems like the big concert they had for him was just a few months ago or something, that he performed at, But that was so interesting that he passed away like so quickly after that show that he did. It's almost like I didn't think he really did, that they just, in my mind, I'm always thinking, he's probably still alive. He'd probably just want to retire out of the eye of the public because it's probably going to be, the last years aren't going to be his best years. And, maybe they could just, okay, everybody, there's the last show and goodbye. But, there he went. And to think it's been 365 days since then, man. Have you guys accomplished everything or accomplished a few things this year? Or was it just another year gone of slaving at work and just paying your bills and that's it? I feel like I got some things accomplished in the past year. Of course, I got this channel going and I got this channel monetized, which is not an easy feat for a YouTuber, especially lately. There's so many people on YouTube and so much AI and crap on there that you're really competing with a lot. So to even get to the 1,000 people, there's a prerequisite to be monetized on YouTube. You need 1,000 subscribers and you have to have 4,000 hours of watch time, I believe within I want to say a 3-month period, maybe. So that's tough too. So it took, I think I'd started it in September of 2025. And I believe I hit the 1,000 by around Christmas time. I think December. I got like my first check in January of 2026 from YouTube for December. So, I'm around like 7 months now of having the channel monetized, and you put some of the money back into it, right? I mean, I have Canva I pay for to do all the thumbnails and everything, and I have CapCut to do the Fright Bite bits. I bought a new Mac Mini computer that I financed interest-free through the through Apple, right? And their Apple credit card or whatever. But that's $100 a month. But anywho, I have like expenses for the show, and I'm happy to say that the fans covered it. You know what I mean? They're covering the expenses of the Fright Bite and everything and the channel. And thank you so much for that. And like I said, my goal is to get it up to like 5,000 or 7,000 subs so that the rent can get paid here. That way I don't have to worry about gigs so much. You know what I mean? Because the music business is so you never know what's going to happen. You really don't. I know that I have a feeling next year will be the pinnacle year for Stephen Pearcy, just to tour on the Dog Mob record and have such cool songs on it and have such a cool band to be out playing, and just where we finally are where we need to be with the lineup and being out there putting on good shows and just doing a victory lap for the record. And this year has pretty much just been a preparation of that. I have done other bands and shows this year. I've done some dates with Pump 5. Of course, the project man, I think 4 videos I did with those guys in the last year, so that's pretty cool. Death of Me, which was the song I used in the thumbnail. If you're on my social media tonight, Death of Me is from the project. We also did a video for Best Days, a video for Hope, and these are all on YouTube. If you look up the project, you can see me in those with these guys. And what's the last one? What is the last the last one we did? I can't find it right now. Hopefully James is here. He could pop it in. But we got a rehearsal with the project. I got a rehearsal this Sunday with those guys, and then on Friday, July 31st, we're going to play the Tiki, which is in Costa Mesa. So if you're a SoCal person listening to this, you're anywhere, I don't know, within an hour of that place or something, which I know I am here in Oceanside. That's actually a pretty close gig. That's probably only probably 40 minutes for me to get to or something. So that's pretty dope. But come to this show. It's on July 31st at the Tiki. And come hang out with me, man. Come check out this band, the project that I play in. Let's I don't know. I might even have a beer with you or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. We could do whatever you want. But come hang out with us and support this cool band. That's coming up a week from Friday is that show. So mark your calendars down for that. And most importantly, the Dog Mob Stephen Pearcy record, which is just, almost 7 years since we put out View to a Thrill. It's been a rough time for our country, shutdowns, all the crap, and it's just taken a while, man, to get to this point of finally putting out another full-length Stephen Pearcy record, and I couldn't be more excited about it. Spicoli's ordering pizza for the whole classroom, everybody. That's super, super nice of him.
What are you people? On dope?
Thank you, Spicoli. We're looking forward to eating all your pizza tonight. The extraterrestrial who runs into me at Winco, believe it or not, he knows I'm not AI. He's seeing me in person. Winco have refried beans. They have Sonora style tortillas, and they also have all kinds of cheeses. You can make your own burritos, and it's easy to make, and it totally saves you. I'm right with you. I buy all Winco cheese. I look at the little, on the prices where it says how much it is per ounce. You can, if you're not good at the maths, they do make it kind of easy for you to shop. You just look at the price per ounce. You'll see on the little pricing, if you look at the very bottom, it'll say how many cents you're paying, per ounce for those items like cheese. And you look over at this cheese, oh, that's 43 cents an ounce. But the Winco ones are always 29 cents an ounce, which is that's pretty good deal. The packaging isn't always the best, but I mean, they do have the little resealable thing for their single sizes. And then I get the big Winco, sharp shredded cheese or whatever. I get that one for any kind of burritos and stuff like that. And I get Susan some of these other style cheeses because she'll make herself a sandwich to take to work or whatever. So I always make sure she has her her sandwich stuff in there. What's some other Winco stuff? I would buy the Winco coffee if she wasn't so a connoisseur. The least she'll put up with is Folgers, which, god damn it, guys, come on, if you're Folgers, $15, almost $16 for a pound of Folgers, get out of here with that. And I'll tell you one thing that surprised me. I went to Winco yesterday to buy water. I'll buy the Geyser gallons of water. It's a 6-pack of Geyser water. For the longest time, that was $5 at Winco. It has now jumped up to almost $8. I'm pretty sure there's not tariffs on water, and I'm pretty sure we're not importing it from the Strait of Hormuz or whatever. So I don't know what's going on there. I know that there's a lot of water that got lost in Hollywood this week. I don't know if you guys watched the news, but man, the companies that handle the water system in Los Angeles and Hollywood, I'm not going to blame California, directly, because there are private companies that I think that are running that, but they're very irresponsible, and everybody pays for water in California. Even, a lot of renters do nowadays. It used to be when you rented an apartment, you'd have to pay for any of that kind of stuff. And I'm lucky that here, I don't think we do pay for water here at my place, but a lot of people do have to pay for water. And we have our reserves here in California, but there's corporations that take water. Nestle is probably the biggest offender of the corporations that take water from us and give it to everybody else. And that's why we pay so much. We're paying more for water than gasoline, and we pay a lot for gasoline. So it's crazy. I can remember, as a kid, before they even ever seemingly charged for water. Like, I remember being a kid of the 80s, like that transition where all of a sudden people didn't just drink out of the tap anymore, like where you actually bought like water. And it was like a crazy thought, but they kind of sold it to us like, yeah, but it's from a mountain spring. It's so much better tasting than your tap. So you're kind of paying for this like schnazzier kind of water. But now that we know like all the bad stuff that's in water, there's a lot of people that can't even risk it. They have to buy that bottled water. But I'm thinking that this surcharge at Winco on water has something to do with all the water that got lost from the pipes that busted in Hollywood. I didn't get to that part yet. Sorry. I go off on tangents when I start drinking coffee. It looked like a Universal Studios disaster flood thing. Have you guys ever been to Universal Studios at any point in your life? One of the oldest attractions at Universal Studios when you're on the tram thing is like the flood from when they made the Moses movie, where Charlton Heston like parts the Red Seas or whatever. Like that's where that ride attraction initially was made for. And so Universal Studios is always given tours, and they always part the Red Seas, but they also do this one part where a flash flood comes in. They're like, oh no, everybody, our tram stopped and there's a flash flood coming. And then all of a sudden a flash flood comes through and you're like, and it's like, it's kind of cool actually. But seriously, like Hollywood looked like that. It looked like when you're on the Universal Studios and the flash flood things happens. It's insane. And millions and billions of gallons of water just fucking went down the drain the other day. And all of a sudden now I'm paying almost $8 for 6 gallons of Winco water out of nowhere. It's trippy, man. Tell us about the time you met DLR, son. The time I'm trying to think. I've never met DLR, son. I've never met the guy. I think David Lee Roth, did he play the M3 that Stephen and Warren played? The Pearcy DeMartini was Roth at that one? I think it was last year. Because I did play M3 like 2 years ago, and I'm not sure if that was the one Roth played. I'm thinking no. I'm thinking Roth played last year when Pearcy DeMartini played. That would have been my chance to probably meet him or see him, and I didn't get to say hey to him. The only guy I think I've run into Michael Anthony. I might have seen Sammy Hagar somewhere. Never met Alex Van Halen. Never met Eddie. I have seen Van Halen in concert. I've never got to see Van Halen with Roth. I mean, the last tour they did with Roth was in 1984. And in 1984, I was still like 11 years old, like turning 12. So they're like going to concerts was not in the cards yet. I didn't get to see Van Halen until they played the Monsters of Rock tour with Metallica. Like Sammy was in the band at that point. It was like around OU812 era, and Metallica had Master of Puppets out, and they were soon to be coming out with And Justice for All. And it was a pretty cool bill at the time of old and new bands. I mean, it had Scorpions, it had Metallica, Dokken, Van Halen, Kingdom Come, and Metallica. Did I already say that? It was interesting. It was like thrash music coming in and kind of pushing the older heavy metal bands out of the spotlight. young people were so excited for the new thrash music, and they were just tearing the place apart. It's probably one of the craziest concerts I've ever been to. My dad actually took us. It was like my dad took me and a couple of my friends. All my friends took acid, and I was so mad at them because we were in the car with my dad and they were tripping balls and being idiots, and I was so mad at them. I didn't. I had to stand by my dad at the show. But anyway, so I was sober for this. But it was a crazy, I mean, when you're at concerts like that and it's so much going on, you almost feel like you're on drugs. Plus, there's just everybody's getting high everywhere. I probably was high just from just being at the LA Coliseum that day. But the craziest food fight I've ever seen erupted. It was insane. And then Metallica, when they took the stage, everybody, not us, but like a lot of the people that were in the stands, broke the barriers down and went into the grandstands. You could probably watch that LA Coliseum show, Monsters of Rock. So I did see Van Halen at that, and I think I did see him again when they came through on the OU812 tour to the San Diego Sports Arena. I went and saw that show, and I was still pretty big, I would say, Van Halen fan. I bought OU812, and then what was the Cabo Wabo? That was on that, right? That was on that record. Yeah, it was like the last of me being a active Van Halen buyer of records and stuff. By this time, I was starting to play in bands myself and everything. And from that point, when you're just a struggling poor musician, you no longer buy records. You're just trying to make records. You're trying to make it in the music business, and you're just focusing on your band and listening to the radio, and that's about it. I mean, nowadays that would be different because people have their Apple Music subscriptions that totally rip off everybody as far as musicians go. I mean, if you're only paying $10 a month, how is that going to pay every band that ever existed's music? How is everybody going to get paid if you're only paying $10? Come on, guys. Anyways, I'll never pay for that, but I understand why you guys do. It's pretty awesome for you guys, not for us. We have to get 11 billion spins to get 20 cents. He wants some ice cream and some cheesecake. Well, that's because you've been smoking weed all day, Spicoli. Man, Johnny Ponder likes Thousand Island, yo. It's his go-to for salads and burgers. Homemade honey mustard is good, too. I've never tried to make homemade honey mustard. I should look into that. That could be good for dipping nuggets. Did you ever make homemade McNuggets? I was talking to Dahlia about that last night. Like, when you look at what real McNuggets are made out of at McDonald's, ooh, man, you'll never want to eat those again. Or McRibs or whatever. But I do like just homemade. I do homemade McNuggets. There's a couple ways to go about it. I sometimes, if I'm feeling real healthy, I'll do air fryer McNuggets. And those are the healthiest because you're not using any oils at all. If I'm just willing to roll the dice because I'm back on the statins or whatever, I'll do like some vegetable oil, and I do up my my chicken nuggets. I basically cut up some boneless chicken breasts. I take a little bit of flour to drop them in some flour, drop them in some egg, and then of course use some Winco breadcrumbs, right? Winco breadcrumbs, seasoned, and put them in the breadcrumbs, and then throw them in there, get them going. And those are some pretty damn good homemade chicken McNuggets. I mean, I know they got to be way healthier than the McDonald's ones. Anytime you're doing seed oily stuff, vegetable oil, that's not good for your your veins and stuff, your arteries, right? I have to pick my nose for a minute. Excuse me. That's not good for your arteries, but it's great for your taste buds. And then when it comes to dipping sauce, you know, you got your different dips. You know, I do like mustard, just regular mustard on there. I did buy some kind of Winco dipping sauce. Sometimes that's okay. Ranch is always good. I do get the Winco ranch. I know I'm thinking of all the store brand things I do buy. Any kind of salad dressing, I always go Winco on there. I do that. What's a homemade dressing I could do for that? I don't know. But anyways, I just gave you guys my chicken McNugget recipe on there. But Thousand Island, that's pretty, Jay Ponder, that's pretty much the secret sauce for most burger places, right? for their like Big Macs and stuff. One of the most awesome things I ever had on tour. We played a club one night. It was the first time we had pizza. Let me back up. We always have pizzas on the riders. So like after the show, they'll have a couple pizzas there for us. And we just like to go and grab a piece after you've been playing the gig or whatever. And one night the guy had a Big Mac pizza. A Big Mac pizza. Have you guys ever had a Big Mac pizza? Man, it was so good. It was a pizza looking shape. But it had like the meat on it, and it had the cheese, and it had like the lettuce that you would have on a Big Mac, that kind of shredded lettuce, and it had like the Big Mac sauce on it. But man, that was like one of the best tasting pizzas like I've ever had. I wouldn't think that would have been good, but it was good. Makes me want to try to do a homemade Big Mac pizza. I do homemade pizza night here occasionally to save money, because for I'd say less than $7 you can make a couple pizzas for the family, right? And save some money and not have to pay a tip to a pizza driver or go drive to go get it or whatever. Once in a while, Domino's does some pretty amazing deals that you can't pass up. And Domino's can be all right on occasion, in case they want to sponsor the show at some point. But there's something about those flavors, where you're like, these aren't necessarily natural flavors on here. And that kind of stuff can't be too good for you long term. It's probably healthier to do your own cooking at home. And damn it, I can't even afford it to go out to eat anymore. I don't know about you guys. I'm just home cooking everything now. Mercura Chrome Blues, a goth industrial band would be cool. Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it'd be fun to do something like that. And if we do like a goth setup like that, technically I could have some of the stuff on tracks. You know what I mean? Where maybe the Count's playing guitar and singing and stuff, but I could have like, it's industrial music. You know what I mean? So you're kind of expecting not like, acoustic sounding drums, so it's something I might be able to get away with, where it's kind of like a Fright Bite Fang Off live party somewhere, and with like live entertainment, kind of like going to see a stand-up comic or something like that, but that there's also music and comedy and things like that, and raffles and giveaways and stuff. I think that could be fun, so I keep that in the back of my mind. I mean, of course, I want to wait till we have a fan base so that people would show up for such a thing. But I think doing the record part of it, like putting a CD of that type of original music, is something that will happen, because I have to do the music anyway for the show. And once I have enough songs, like 10 songs or whatever, why not press a CD and she and I could sign it, and we'll sell it on the merch booth or whatever here on the website. Manuela Oside, I trained at Camp Pendleton back in 86, 87. Hoorah! Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your service. Yeah, this is a Marine town. It will always be a Marine town. Back when you were here, they had Hill Street. It was Hill Street. And then they just kind of changed it. They stopped calling it Hill Street. Now it's just Pacific Coast Highway or Pacific. And Pacific PCH, but yeah, it's getting a little gentrified here, probably since you were here back in the 80s. Like, they've started to build some fancy schmancy hotels here where I am. I'm right by the harbor here on the Strand, and they're starting to build some hotels around here, and I'm sure the rents are going to go up. I mean, back when you were serving here and we're at Camp Pendleton, that was easy living, man. In Oside, it was like Oceanside was one of the best kept secrets. I mean, rent was stupid cheap back then. I mean, the 80s, rent was probably only like $300 or $400 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment back then. And you could live really low, like in Oceanside, right? But still be like, just anywhere in Oceanside, you're only like a couple minutes from the beach, so it was pretty awesome, man. And those days are gone. Like, now a 1-bedroom apartment in Oceanside's like $2,000 a month. It's insane. And of course, when you start getting roommates and stuff, you can make it work. You know, Susan and I rent a 1-bedroom from this guy here, and between the both of us, we pay about that, you know, for each one of our rooms. But we're right here on the beach, so we're going to try to stick it out as long as we can. Like, this is the best living place I've ever been in my entire adult life, and I've enjoyed the hell out of it for like the last 5 years I've been here. And I know people get envious when they see me posting the pictures, but calm down. I don't own the place, and someday you're going to be able to go, ha, because I'm going to have to pack up and get out of here. But hopefully something else cool will open up. NFL, rockin' music. What's up, dude? Have you ever seen Steel Panther? I've seen them quite a few times, and it's a great time. Yeah, I've been seeing Steel Panther and all the incarnations of them. Originally, Ralph, the singer, or he goes by Michael Starr, he was in a Van Halen tribute band that was awesome. You know, he does a really great Roth, I have to say. The Atomic Punks. Ralph was in the Atomic Punks, and I did get to see that, and that was amazing. And then he started a band called Metal Shop. It was called Metal Shop originally, and in Hollywood they would play like the Viper Room, and they almost had like a residency in some of these places, and they quickly just, you know, were getting a reputation for, you know, being raunchy and fun, and you know, bringing back the Sunset Strip vibe in a comedic way, and not to be necessarily taken seriously. And I think that was important because, you know, that music really did the door shut on it. You know what I mean? Like, record companies just decided they were going to start pushing the Seattle thing in the 90s. And then soon after that, it was going to be more rap and hip hop. Of course, top 40s always, you know, had its own place too, radio pop stations and everything. But as far as rock goes, a lot of changes happened, you know, after 92, and the whole hair metal thing was pretty frowned upon, and the whole crazy guitar solos and the whole 80s thing was just became a joke for a while. And, you know, in the early 2000s, you know, a lot of these bands, for one, everybody was tired of the pop punk crap and all the terrible, a lot of the 80s rock bands were, I don't want to say disparaging things, but it was a sad time for a lot of it. There was some good stuff in there. There was some good bands that came out in the 90s, of course, but for the most part, it was just kind of dreary. It was nowhere near as fun as the 80s was. And the 80s had so much different it was such an eclectic time for music and pop music and stuff. And it was just fun and cool, and the fashions and everything. And I don't know, it's like the 90s came and just got away with it, and everybody just jumped on that bandwagon. All of a sudden, you know, having individuality and looking unique was not something record labels were looking for. They wanted everybody to wear look like they work at a gas station, wearing gas station attendant outfits, or, you know, maybe rockabilly or something like that. But definitely any kind of leather pants or big hair was out. Where am I going with this? I feel like Steel Panther kind of eased people back into it. Like, come on, guys, come on, let's have fun again, like the 80s, or let's play all those songs you guys liked from back then. And I feel like those guys were kind of helped, you know, usher it back in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and give them kudos for that today as I reflect on it with you guys here live on the Unleashed Show Wednesdays at 5 p.m. But when they were Metal Shop, we did play with them once. And again, these were like kind of not the greatest times in the Pearcy band. We weren't playing our biggest gigs yet. You know, we were playing some small gigs around the country, and not for a ton of money either. And I remember that we played the Viper Room with opening for Metal School. I'm saying, was it Metal Shop or Metal School? I can't remember which one they were calling themselves. They weren't Steel Panther yet, but we're opening for them. And like I said, everybody was okay with lampooning and making fun of and so forth, but they were still like being kind of mean to the 80s bands. And so when we got there, this was a really bad day for me. This was just happened to be a really bad day. I had just moved back from Austin, Texas. I had been living in Austin, Texas. I was totally in love with this woman, college age girl. I moved out there to be with and everything. And things just went sour at some point. This one guy, one of her friends, like brought her home like at like 4 a.m. or something, and he mouthed off to me, and ended up like I ended up knocking the dude out. And over that incident, like she ended up breaking up with me or something, and I had to move back to California. And we were still kind of like talking. We're kind of gonna try to do the long distance thing for a minute. And I remember like this particular day that we were gonna play the Viper Room opening for them was I don't know if you guys have ever had this happen to you in a relationship. Have you ever called your girlfriend and some other dude answers the phone? Have you ever had that? It's I would say it's worse than getting punched in the balls. It's like the worst feeling of getting punched in the stomach you could ever imagine. It's just like, I'm like, who's this? He's like, who's this? And I'm like, this is her boyfriend. And he's like, not anymore. It's like, oh my God. Anyways, I could just to let you know, this day was a bad day. And anyways, we had to play this show, and we're playing the small little Viper Room, right? At the time, Johnny Depp owned this place. And anyways, we're on the little stage playing, and there's there's a mix of Hollywood people there. There's, sometimes people in bands, actors, whatever, fans. But this group of guys were there, and they were just making fun of us and, just heckling the entire show. And I was just, at this time, I was just not having it. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop the show to like deal with this right now. But I remember time I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be seeing you soon. They're like, yeah, whatever, blah, blah. And they used to have like these little curtains that would like close when when we ended the show. So we played this crappy gig. People were not, they were just wanting to see Metal Shop or whatever. And we're kind of just heckling us. And so the curtain closes. I put my guitar down, and then right away, and no, at the time when they were doing it, there was like 4 or 5 of those guys. And I was about to go down and just beat them all up at one time. So I open the curtain and I do a flying jump down onto the floor. But now it's only one of the guys. It was the guy that was leading the charge with all this at the thing. But I didn't care at that point. I'm like, I came here to kick somebody's ass. I'm sorry all your friends left you behind, but I'm sorry, but now is your turn. And I wish I could say he like squared up, and he didn't. And it's not that I sucker punched him. I told him I was coming out there to punch him, and he just decided he was just going to stand there and wait and get punched. And that's exactly what happened. I just like really gave him a good one to the face, and he just went down like a ton of bricks. And next thing you know, the bouncer's like yanking me out of there. And then the guy's friends came out, and they were like squaring off with me on the Sunset Strip and all this. And long story short, I got banned from the Viper Room for like till Johnny Depp sold the place. Like it was like 7 years we weren't allowed to come back there. I wasn't allowed to come back there or anything like that. He was some actor dude that I punched or whatever. I don't know who. Just because you're an actor doesn't mean people know who you are. I mean, you could probably have walk-ons or something on a scene or whatever, but it was just one of those. He just happened to pick the wrong day, I guess, to mess with me. Do I know the dudes that still? Yeah, I do. I know Michael Starr. He's actually a super nice guy. I'm sure you guys have met him over the years, and he's always been nothing but cool to me. He's always had a few compliments in his pocket for me. That's really nice when known people take the time to like tell somebody who's maybe not as big as they are a little compliment. Here, hold on a second. I have a little compliment for you in my pocket. It's like, it goes a long way, because as right now, I'm telling you how cool he is, right? Look how giving me that little compliment 20 years later, I'm still saying to everybody that Michael Starr is a nice guy. Another nice thing he did was when View to a Thrill came out. He really liked the record, and I remember he made a post or something on Instagram. He's like, "This is my workout record." Right. And I knew what he was saying, like, what, because I've been working out, and you do start to find like certain things you put on when you're working out that that work for you or whatever. And I guess at that moment when he posted it, he had been listening to our record and he worked out to it or something. And I was like, well, shoot, that's a super cool compliment. The current bass player that's in there is my rep for the in-ear monitors, Ultimate Ears, which are fantastic in-ear monitors. Bless Elias turned me on to these guys, and then he hooked me up. And so yeah, I know some of them. I haven't I might have met Satchel at some point. I don't think he was all dressed up in his stuff, but I might have met him at one time. Those guys it's crazy how big they ended up getting. When I reflect on the story I just told you of when they were Metal School or Metal Shop or whatever, and hey, we're changing. Some other band had the name and they had to change it or whatever. And like, well, what's the new name? And they're like Steel Panther. And it was cool because I think Anchorman was already out, Ron Burgundy, and you remember the Sex Panther. He wore Sex Panther cologne. So it was kind of had me thinking along those lines. And when they told me Steel Panther, I thought it was a great name for the band. I thought I liked that a lot better than Metal School or whatever, Metal Sludge or whatever they were calling it at the time. David Carrasco's here, y'all. He's just checking in, hoping I'm doing well. I am doing well. I just, I have to say, I went to the cardiologist the other day, and it's funny because there's such a mess down there. They've gone through like 3 cardiologists for me in the last like year and a half. I went in and had all these tests done like last year, I don't know, September or something. And just now they're giving me the results. I mean, I saw some results, I think, on paper, but as far as like meeting with a cardiologist to talk about it, that didn't happen till yesterday. But his words, I'm going to paraphrase. I'm not going to quote the guy, but I'll paraphrase him. He said, well, look at your heart here. We don't see any damage. So we don't see any signs that you had a heart attack on your heart. I mean, that's pretty much the best information that could be given to a guy. You know what I mean? Like, I would it would have been better if they had caught my blockages in time before I had got to that point. But it sounds like I got the best care, when I went to that hospital in Ohio and Cleveland, I think. And Marcia knows where I was. Where was I, Marcia? I always have to give them kudos for saving my life last time I was there. But the only problem I have is what a lot of you guys have, and that's just cholesterol issues and clogged heart disease and clogged arteries. I have hope. I don't understand why in our lifetime they're not going to figure out a way to totally clean those out. Some kind of treatment. Hopefully not nanobots. I'm not excited to have nanobots put into me. But something. I just feel like they have these statins and stuff they have us all on, but man, I feel like there's something that should just go ahead and just clean everything out. And then if it wasn't for that, I'd probably live to over 100, honestly. But my parents, they have the same condition I have, and my mom's going to be 80. So I'm 53. You think you guys are going to be with me for another 30 years. So let's just take care of each other and we'll make it back here. Yo, Psychedelic River Chicken. What's happening, my friend? Studio question. When you're tracking guitars in the studio, do you commit to a tone at the amp or do you keep your options open and shape it in the mix? Great question there. Currently, we're doing the later part of your hypotheses there. We're currently using the Tonex in the studio. We've made profiles for all of Matt's amps that he has at the studio, and he has some amazing amps. If you are on IK Multimedia, if you look up MT Studios, he's got all his amps there. If you are on the Tonex website, MT Studios, everything that's in Matt's studio is there for you to use, which is pretty nice of him to do, including my amp. I have my Splon quick rod, 100-watt quick rod that we did a profile for. I had him do one for the Mahaffey. Tris Mahaffey, who's been a guest on the show here. The Mahaffey amps up there you can check out. I have a Fender Hot Rod Deluxe that's sitting here. I got when I played a Bow Wow Wow or whatever. I had to model that thing. So we got a lot of options there, and it's pretty cool. I mean, he did really good profiles of everything. So you really would be hard pressed to hear the difference between if I was using the real amp or using the profile that we made. It's just quicker to switch to such things. It's as quick as taking a mouse and clicking to a different, like, and we will do just what you're saying. Like, if we're playing a song, we're like, that just sounds, that tone there is too heavy for this. Let's try this amp. Let's try your amp on this. Let's try this. He has like a 1972 Marshall, he has some cool stuff in there too. So depending on if it's a heavier metal song or it's an older school song, same with guitars. I don't commit to any one guitar either. You know what I mean? I probably on a recording, I could be using my Charvel, the Les Paul. I might be using Matt Strat or a Telly. I'll use a 12 string, a 6 string. I'll grab a sitar. I'm like a kid in the candy store when I get in the studio. I want to, like, what's that you got over there? Like, just whatever I play for the song and record for the song. Matt's the same way. It just seems like it's easier at this current stage of technology to use that Tonex in the studio and just play around. Manuel is all about the honey mustard. Yeah, well, I'm gonna try to get some honey mustard going for my nuggets, y'all. My homemade nuggets. Spicoli's ready for some new rock and roll, son. Well, Spicoli, I might have to. You might be one of my people on the short list to hear something ahead of time, because you are also a big supporter of the show. So let me decide. If you show up to the 30th, if you're here for the 30th Fright Bite, I'll think about it. James Galente, what? Oh my God, I've known this kid since the 1970s, y'all. His family lived behind my family in New Jersey, if you could believe that. Damn, I remember I was driving down Broad Street with my brother and dad on the way to a Phillies game when the news broke. That's something else. Yeah. Well, I hope your dad and your brother are doing good, man. And it's so cool to see you here and say hi to your mom. I hope she's all healed up, because I heard she fell, right? Didn't she bust her arm or her leg or something? Donna, I hope you're all recovered. She's a great lady. Oh, we're talking about Ozzy, of course. Okay. Little context there, James. Yeah, he was on the way when he passed away. Crazy stuff, man. Pearcy's got all kinds of great Ozzy stories, because Ratt toured, opened for Ozzy back in the 80s, and they went everywhere. And like, first Motley was the first band that Ozzy took everywhere, and then they were huge, and then Ratt was like the next band that Ozzy took the following year all over the world. And wow, what crazy times they must have had. T-Cuz is saying usury free financing? Oy vey. Rico. Hey, Eric. From sunny Arizona. Well, hello. Thanks for being here at Unleashed tonight. Spicoli's got a dinner date. He's got to go, bro. Will you go enjoy your dinner, Spicoli? Thank you for being here tonight. I'll give you a raw scream on the way out. Pool Time saying, what's up, Eric? Hope you're doing great. You're recovering from the 108-degree heat in Tejas. Oh, man, that's brutal. Jay Lee's in the house, y'all. He's tuning in late, but he's here. Good to have you, Jay Lee. T-Cuz, he says Sam's Club coffee. He drinks a pot a day, about 2.5 pounds for $17.99. I'll look into that. Sam's Club coffee. Yeah. We have a I want to call. Well, it's Sam's Club. That's different than Costco too, right? That's a whole different thing. But Costco's got to maybe have. Costco's got the Kirkland. Everything's Kirkland at Costco. I could see if maybe that could be a alternative to the Folgers. I think it's like insulting the Folgers thinks it could charge $16 and $17 for Folgers, man. Folgers is some mid-grade coffee, yo. James loves the Universal Studios lot tour. Well, you could have got a free one if you were in Hollywood the other day. It was very frightening if you were cruising Hollywood, man. T-Cuz, you don't need water. Louisiana got it in spades for the rainfall. Got a storm coming now. A pipsqueak, though. Tropical storm. Pfft, he ain't scared. Yeah, I mean, I hear like New Orleans will be underwater. Like they say that. I mean, I'm not big on the global warming, climate change thing or whatever. They've always said California was going to be underwater too. And, you know, I've been living in California for 40 years and that water does not look like it's gone up at all, to be honest. I mean, you can see where on the pier, even where it's just been hitting that same spot. I mean, maybe at certain points of the year has its ups and little bits of ups and downs, you know, but it's basically in the same spot. So, I mean, a lot of fear scare campaigns out there and stuff, but I don't know if in our lifetime, you know, New Orleans will be underwater. Katrina was scary as hell, you know, but you guys haven't had anything that bad since. Jojo saying, hey, Eric, sup, dog? You meet any rockers that you were excited to meet and ended up disappointed? Ended up disappointed. Well, you know, I have all kinds of friends that you guys would consider to be rock stars, and they've had their bad days, Steven included. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of was thinking about this today. I feel like any especially lead singer or famous guitarist that's made it, that's sold, like at least went gold with records and is a pretty well-known person, they all should be allowed to be a diva once in a while and have a diva meltdown over something, because it's a lot of pressure to keep everybody happy all the time. It's a lot of pressure to be a professional, a performer, and just having to go on stage, having a tour. It's a dangerous life. It's stressful. And then you got a lot of bandmates. It's like being married to 4 people all the time, having 4 wives or whatever at any given moment. You got managers and agents and fans and crazy fans. And I don't know. I just feel like you could catch one of those guys on the wrong day, yo. You know what I mean? Where he's tired, he's just not having it. Or you don't know if he had like a fight with his family at home or what's going on. Maybe his investments tanked, or maybe a bunch of shows fell through. Maybe somebody's suing him, you know. But, you know, I just feel like you got to excuse some people from not always being the most hospitable people. You know, somebody went on my page and was complaining about Steven once. They were like, I was on the cruise, and they were all mad that Steven didn't drop what he was doing to go talk to this guy's entire family or something. Like, if Steven was out, he's probably going to get something to eat or something like that. They have specific meet and greet times on these events, and all concerts have specific meet and greets. But there's people that feel like they're owed a meet and greet, an impromptu meet and greet at the hotel or wherever. Most of the time, he's cool about that, but he doesn't owe anybody that, right? Am I wrong? Does Steven owe you guys a free meet and greet if he's out in front of the hotel, or if he's like on a cruise just trying to walk to get something to eat? I mean, generally they tell you, they pay us really well on those cruises, and they go, hey, we're going to pay you to play twice. Can you be at least cordial to people that are going to come up? This is a whole experience they're paying for that you're not. We gave you a free cruise. But anyways, I guess he had some beef or something. And he even caught me on a bad day. I don't know if he was thinking he was going to come to my page and make this big complaint about Steven on here in the comment section. I was pretty mean back. I was like, I sounded like Samuel L. Jackson. I was like, he don't owe you a goddamn thing. I was like, ridiculous. I totally overplayed. I'm sorry, sir, if that was you. But I mean, seriously, just in general, anything, you could go say things, generally speaking, about the Stephen Pearcy band or about me on other sludgy places, or about articles, or give your opinion. You'll be dealing with their terms of service. You're making threats about me, or, you know, whatever, then your comment might be removed. But generally speaking, you could say you don't like me as a player. You could do all these things on those other places, but I'm not going to let that ride on my Unleashed page channel. Of course I erase all the bad shit. Come on. Why would I? Let me ask you something. If you at your house, if somebody came up to your house and spray painted something on the front of your house, you're just gonna leave it there and go, "Oh, it's America, freedom of speech." No, you're gonna clean it up and get rid of it. But you're not gonna go just suing somebody for saying something about you on Facebook or whatever. Or, you know what I mean? It's like the same thing applies. But this isn't my channel's not the place to come complain about anybody in my band. You know what I mean? I mean, granted, you could come here to the chat and it's an open season here. You know what I mean? It's an AMA or you got something to say. Yeah, if you are technically have beef, it's okay. You could put it here. But as far as the comment section, I'm probably not going to leave something negative in there about us or me or something. I've had to deal with a lot of that. If you watch the last Unleashed from last week, I go into a lot of that. And also with the Jason stuff, there's two episodes where I really lay into the guy. One is I believe it's episode, was it 15? Number 15 is pretty brutal. And then episode 30, which was last week. Number 15 and 30, if you're into gossip or like you want to get the scoop on some of the more gnarly things that happen, I just go back and watch those. And because generally speaking, I don't want to make him my pinata like every Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like if something comes up or I have to address him, I will. You know what? The only thing I had to say to Jason this week was, I heard him say something on his show last week where somebody asked why the road videos were taking off, and he was sitting here with Wednesday 13, and he wanted to take the time. As I told you, malignant narcissists, they like to always control the narrative at all times, and they want to make themselves seem like they're in control of everything, even when they're totally not, and about to go to prison. But they will still try to make you guys think that they totally control the narrative. And I guess people must ask him all the time what happened to those videos. So last week he's with you can go back and watch him on his show. He says he's talking to Wednesday 13, and he goes, "Well, the reason I took him down is very simple, you guys. I'm not working with those guys, and frankly, I don't like them, and I'm not gonna promote people I don't like. So I took him down," which is a complete lie. We instructed him to take down the when we fired him. We told him, take down those videos that we were letting you have the privilege of hosting up there, and he thumbed his nose at us. He refused to do it, and then things started getting a little more tense, and he then decided he had a whole plan. He was going to do this innate right campaign with Johnny Monaco, where he was going to put all the videos behind a paywall and basically charge a fee to have him and Johnny make fun of all of us. He even went as far as to say nobody's safe. Like he was going to basically shit talk every one of us after he had, stolen, probably hundreds of thousands from Steven. You know what I mean? And totally built his whole channel off of us and all the people he interviewed, he met playing with us. Every location video that he did, he was double dipping and doing that while he was supposed to be tour managing for us. And we're like, "Where's Jason?" He would take off and he would ahead of time map out, what locations he was going to go to, so that not only would he be out taking Steven to town, on money for TMing, but he would also go out and film these location things, go home, put out a road video where he made money off of us, not give us anything, by the way. We didn't get a dime off any of that. He would make money off that. Then he would make these location videos and make a killing off that. So where this guy's like gangbusters, probably not paying taxes, probably, not getting release forms, and nothing's changed. Like, I mean, we finally got him to take the videos down. How that happened was through me. I got him to take the videos down by making this post on Facebook that he was a fraud and he had embezzled and he had been fired and that he didn't choose to walk away or anything like that, that we had fired him and it was for these reasons. And there was even worse things, but I had waited. And finally, when the sex allegations came out, that's when he finally was like, okay, and he finally took them all down, all 200. But here we are, about 6 months later, and he thinks the smoke is cleared. So now he's going to change the reason, and this is so him to do, to come out and go, well, I don't like those guys, so why would I promote him on the page? That wasn't why. He did it because I had to strong arm him. He was going to just me, they're my videos, and he was making all these threats. And so I'm the one who ended up getting him to take him down. But very recently, he's thumbing his nose again. And even though he said he wouldn't put videos up of us because he doesn't like us, he put 4 Stephen Pearcy interviews up there. Stephen doesn't want those up there, Jason. He told you to take them down. But in Jason's mind, he's like, well, Stephen knew he was doing these interviews when he did it, so therefore he gave me permission. And those can be a little more difficult to get off through copyright strikes or something like that, because it's more for that reason. But he's definitely going, I got his interviews up. So what I did was I decided all last week to start sharing Olivia's testimony of being sexually assaulted by Jason, and her warning to the Wednesday 13 fans out there. Like, if you're a parent, your teenage daughter is listening to Wednesday 13 and is in those chat rooms and on Wednesday's Instagram and things like that, to watch out for Jason, because he's stalking these young women. And that's kind of, you would think that would be Wednesday's duty to let his fans know that, but no. A lot of people are still propping these guys up and helping them out. But I felt it was important just for the teenagers of America and those gothy, hot topic-y teenagers that some of you guys got, that they should be aware of this thing. And so this week, when he was thumbing his nose and, doing that, I was like, okay, Jason, then we'll just remind everybody what a scumbag you are. And so I just started sharing that every week. So more, thousands more people, Jason, have now seen this girl that you allegedly assaulted. And again, was it worth it? Was it worth keeping those 4 videos up? Because I could do that all week long. You know what I mean? But yeah, Stephen wants you to take those interviews down. So go ahead and take them on down. Take them down, because it's not worth it, especially when you're trying to get back on your feet and change your whole demographic. Basically, you ruined your chance of working in the music business. That's off. You've been totally blackballed there. But with the location thing, you're kind of onto something there. But again, he's going to cemeteries without a permit, and he's a monetized channel. A channel that gets over 100,000 views on his videos and stuff. And he's going into the Las Vegas cemetery, and he's going to the Los Angeles Hollywood cemetery, and he's filming anyone famous's thing, of course, and some other people's, and getting other people in there. But you need a permit for that. If you guys Google that, somebody on my site goes, oh, you're telling me I can't go to my grandfather's headstone? And you idiot. He ain't going to his grandfather's thing. He's going, and he's a monetized guy walking into a graveyard and making money off these dead people. You cannot do that without a permit. I brought that up last week, and I know he doesn't. I told you, I know he doesn't have one. And I told people that, hey, if you got family or people that are buried there that he's showing, let them know, and they can complain to the cemetery and strike his channel for that. But sure enough, I happened to be looking, somebody sent me somebody commented that worked at that cemetery in Vegas. She was an employee there. It's a church or something, that kind of runs it. And you think this lady doesn't still go to that church or talk to those people at that work at that cemetery? But she goes on Jason's thing, and she's like, I hope you had a permit to be in there doing this, right? And all this stuff. I used to work in the office there, and I know you need these things. And so instead of just erasing this lady's comment, you know what he does? He had the balls to go, yeah, you know what I think's funny? And he kind of goes through this whole tangent about the Catholic Church raping boys or something like that, sexually assaulting minors or something like that. So in his warped mind, he thinks, because he has a disdain, which is ironic, right? Here he's allegedly assaulting minors, and his excuse is going to be, hey, I can go into this graveyard and I don't care about the rules, because Catholic priests have been in trouble for assaulting minors, so that gives me the right to come in and do whatever I want at this cemetery. He's very stupid. He's a very stupid man. I'm going to guess that he spent This are the only 2 locations also that the guy has been to. He has not gone gotten on a plane to go look at anything since he got fired. He did all of that on Steven's dime. If you look at every location he had, we had a show there that he was supposed to be at working, that he was out filming another thing on. So Stephen Pearcy paid for his plane ticket to get out there, and the venue that was taking care of us was his transportation to get to those locations. So you can understand how taken advantage of Stephen was by him, and the fact that, you know, he should have been grateful to Stephen, and instead just ripped him off and caused us all this trouble, and just ended up being such a horrid representative of our organization. And as far as a band that's worked with this guy, definitely we warning other people not to work with him, that he cannot be trusted. He's a shady ass dude, 100%, that's in so much trouble in all facets of his life. And definitely I can assure you that the walls are closing in on him. And someday people are going to understand all what happened. I know that some of our mutual friends are still propping him up and helping Wednesday out and all these things, but all these people are going to look like total fools. You know what I mean? Like, they were told and warned. I mean, when you go back to like my episode 15, that was your warning. That was everyone's warning. Even Michelle, Jason's girlfriend, you know, that it reminds me of, like, you know, before the United States dropped any serious bombs anywhere or anything, or other countries have done things like that too. Like, first they'll drop a little warning. You know what I mean? It's like, instead of a bomb dropping, it's a bunch of leaflets that say, get the fuck out. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty much it. You got a choice. You want to sit here and wonder if it's really going to go down or not? You can do that, but don't say we didn't warn you. And that episode 15, I definitely told her to, when he was in the bathroom or whatever, get in your car and get out of there, because you're going to throw your entire life away if you stay. And I told her that's the best she's going to get from me. And she didn't take it. She didn't take that advice. And I've given other people that advice too, that have continued to back him or go, you know, on the show. It's like, you're going to regret your association with him 100%. We've all done interviews on his channel, and he has pictures with just about everybody. But so what? That doesn't mean you have to continue to keep that friendship nourished. You know what I mean? When, for me, any of my friends that I have, I find out that you're assaulting minors, you're not my friend anymore, dude. I don't care how long I've known you. That doesn't mean anything. You know, when I know that, like, sometimes you think you know people, but you don't. You know, you might know them professionally or something like that. But if I find out something that somebody I thought was a straight up stand up person isn't, you know what I mean? They're not in my life anymore. I don't have time in my life for bad people. I don't have room in my life for bad people. But, you know, 25 years in Steven's band, I've met a lot of you guys over the years. You've gotten to know me through this channel. I think I'm pretty straight up. I think you guys know that I'm telling the truth. And man, I've said some crazy stuff. I was listening last week. I was like, man, my channel might get shut down. But the thing is, as far as being in trouble, getting in trouble for, you know, defaming somebody, defamation, right? At the end of the day, you could really only get in trouble for that if it wasn't true. So the thing that you guys have seen me taking a huge risk on here and saying things that you would think, you better timestamp this because he said this thing. You got to know, if I'm saying that it's true, just because I wouldn't take a risk like that, especially being playing for the guy I play for and the level that I'm at and how much I do kind of have to lose. I always joke and say, I got nothing to lose. And yeah, maybe on paper it's true. I really don't have any assets or anything like that. I have nothing to lose that way. Like, suing me will get you nothing. Like, even if you did have FU money and we're going to sue me, because some people do. Some people have millions of dollars, and for them to spend, you know, 20 or 30 grand just to mess up your life, they will do that. Not really. That's like you or me spending $200 or $300. You know what I mean? They'll get enjoyment out of it. But he's not one of those people. You know what I mean? He's he's definitely probably considering having a defense attorney stash for his upcoming arrest that's coming his way. So he's not going to be dropping 30 grand right now to try to sue me, but you never know. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody else would bankroll him for that. But I was just thinking about it, I was like watching that and go, man, I said some crazy stuff. But yeah, I don't want every episode to be that way, because I have some friends here that watch the show and they get bummed out. It makes them sad. They don't want to see me all revved up. But the truth is coming out, and it comes out in little kind of small doses on this show. But yeah, I just thought I'd bring it up, because every week that he tries to take the narrative in regards to our band, I will be on the following week to set the record straight. And him saying that he took the videos down, he did not want to take those videos down. I had to strong arm those down because Steven has trouble at 70 years old putting those trademark takedowns on Jason. He has a little trouble getting those to stick. So the only thing that works is me completely humiliating him publicly and letting people know what the guy's really all about. That's the biggest threat to his future, because every time I do that, there's police, there's people from all the alphabet agencies that see that. The one awesome thing about Ratt and the impact that they had since the 80s, man, all cops listen to Ratt. I mean, there's newer cops that are in their 20s now that might not have grown up on Ratt, but all the cops that are like in their 40s and older, oh my God, they were all 80s rock fans. And they know Ratt, and you better believe there's people here right now from the police department, the Las Vegas Police Department, the Glendale, Arizona Police Department. You better believe there's people that work for there and affiliated that are watching this. You better believe there's people that work for the FBI. You better believe there's people that work for the DEA that watch this show. 100%. You know what I mean? So, his justice will come for him, and I don't know. I don't need some big parade for me later on. At some point, people were like, "Shit, that guy was right," and we were wrong. But as long as he gets his justice, that's all that matters. Brad Stalker, he's saying Cholula or Tapateo is all the condiment you need. Good stuff. Yeah. I love hot sauce. There's this, it's not a Winco brand, but there's like a Verde salsa that's been on sale that I've been grabbing them, like completely addicted to. And it seems like it's been on sale there for like the last 4 months. Like nobody really buys it, but I do. I go in and buy like 3 jars of this Verde green salsa for everything. But I do the Tapateo and stuff too, for seasoning and everything. All right, let me take some water and some coffee. What time is it? I don't want to go too late. All right, we're ending here real soon. Okay, Tika's Primal Kitchen brand got some awesome dipping sauce, avocado oil. He eats boneless chicken breast daily. That's definitely the way to go. My cat Kylie, also, I feed her boneless chicken breast. I'm finally getting Charlie Cat to get on the chicken breast. She's been fancy feast. She's got rotten teeth, Susan's cat. I think it's going to be better just give them tuna and chicken and real chicken and maybe a little Iams, kibble for the teeth. But for humans, yeah, it's great, man. I mean, you can't go wrong. You can eat a ton of chicken and not gain a bunch of weight doing that protein. I've been still hitting the gym. I hit the gym today, before the show. I'm feeling good and strong, and it's a good meal. I got my chicken dinners waiting for me. I'm gonna go hit it up real soon here. Sriracha flavor and other flavors, which are great too. Yeah, my friend Nico turned me on to sriracha, 20 years ago, and that's one of my favorite sauces too. She did something with ketchup that made ketchup really awesome. It's like you put the ketchup out, but then you take some sriracha, you do a fancy chef just do a little spooge there on the ketchup with the sriracha, and then you dip your French fries in or whatever. Potato, what's that one potato? Sweet potato fry. Check it out, it's pretty good. They actually make a sriracha ketchup now, for real. It's not as good as doing it yourself, but sriracha is good stuff. Buzzing Frets is here, everyone. Always beautiful pics with the cats on the beach. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, love the cats so much. Do you catch rainwater for personal use? Tikas. I know the rainwater here, that's not rainwater we get on the roofs, but there is like a lot of moisture in the air living by the ocean. And definitely all the birds take baths in it, and crows and ducks and all that stuff. T-Cuz has not collected any water. T-Cuz, Eric the Enforcer. Somebody's got to do it. It is funny, like in the music business, people are really careful not to. I can understand it too, like especially if you have any success, you own a house or something. The last thing you want to do is somebody have them sue you or something. But I was such a personal victim in all this that it's like, everything that I'm doing was done to me for years. You know what I mean? So, like I said, those guys drew first blood. And I'm just here to end the fight, that's it, and then I'm moving on with my life. Wait, we got Tracy Lee Stan here, y'all. Eric, Tracy, and Christy watching you from Virginia. These girls are badass. I've known these girls for a long time. There's some crazy stories with Tracy here. I'm gonna give Tracy a pretty princess while she's here.
Wasn't she pretty princess? Pretty princess.
She's a pretty princess I used to know. Wink, wink. But anyways, she and I have some crazy stories going back, but that's for Cinemax After Dark. No, I'm kidding. Antonio Martinez. I don't know if I can say this right. Nato Kanase, researching Eric, natural supplement that cleans out arteries. Oh, I will look at that. That sounds interesting. It's just a natural substance. Is it like what is it basically? Give us a little overview. Jim Halston, Eric, miss you doing Chris Aiken Presents episodes. You guys were hilarious together. I was so close to asking Chris if he wanted to come on tonight, and maybe I should have. That's somebody that would you guys? I'll ask Chris if he wants to come on next week. He's somebody that I would. Matt's super busy. Like at 5 is usually during Matt's studio time. Like I said, he's mixing the record these next few weeks. So, but I'll ask Chris. I will ask Chris if he wants to come on since you asked about it. I'll see if he's busy next Wednesday. Okay, James Galenti again. Thanks, Eric. Mom did fall and hurt herself kind of bad. She's mostly better and on the back end of rehab now. I'll tell her you said hi. It was cool checking in with you and catching the new show. Yeah, they're such good peeps, and it's cool when people like I said, man. James was just a baby back then. Living in New Jersey. He has an older brother, and our moms are still super tight all these years later. But it's a trip, you move from New Jersey, like all my friends, all my family. I have a big Italian family in New Jersey, and it was sad, you know what I mean? Because it was a trade-off. My dad got a job transfer in 1980. And we flew out from the East Coast to the West Coast, and it was a huge culture shock for me. Not a bad one. Moving to Southern California in the 80s was pretty awesome, but New Jersey was awesome then too, in a different way. I had gone from like playing in the woods and making tree forts and riding dirt bikes and having bare knuckle brawls and homemade boxing rings in the cornfield, and I don't know, like East Jersey kids are tougher 100%. You know what I mean? And that's why, you could take the kid out of Jersey, but you can't take Jersey out of the kid. You can F around and find out. But coming here was different. It was more surfing and skating, and the 80s music was, I don't know, it was a cool time to come to the 80s. And if it was a trade-off, I lost that close connection with my family, and maybe all those family connections that probably would have found me work and stuff that a lot of you guys might have where you live. But I met Stephen Pearcy. If we didn't move out here, Stephen would have never moved in across the street. I would have never mowed his lawn. I would have never washed his car. He would have never heard my band playing in the garage. He would have never recorded the first demo for me. He would have never called me 10 years later to join his band. And in the end, just like that tired expression we've heard so many times, everything happens for a reason. And here we are. This album's so sweet. You're going to dig it. CMS Neely's here to make negative comments. So watch. Oh, yeah. He's here just to make negative comments, guys. You know what? It would be cool to have Neely on too sometime. I don't know if you'd ever want to come hang out, Neely, but you're somebody that I'd have come on the show for sure, man. Got Neely in the house tonight. Wow, man. CMS Neely, you're here to talk Dawkin? Man, we were talking Dawkin earlier. We were talking about George Lynch, Neely. George Lynch coming up and jamming on Round and Round. Spicoli found the video today and saw him playing on stage with us. And I was letting everybody know how amazing it was to have the Dawkin guitarist, George and Lynch Mob, George Lynch, come and finally be on the same stage as the guy. It was like super sweet. So good stuff. Tracy's like, we had some awesome times. Share what you want with the audience. Great memories. We miss you and love you. Well, the craziest story, the craziest story, Tracy. And I mean, that one's like, that one's kind of like locked up abroad, literally like abroad locked up, but it wasn't abroad like in another country. It was here. But that's the craziest one. We'll tell that one another day, because that one's a lot to unpack. But of course, he'd be glad to come on anytime. All right. Well, maybe we could do like a CMS-y kind of Unleashed show next week. And I'm going to send an invite to you, and I'll also send an invite to Neely, and we'll get you guys on throughout the show. Sound good? Sound like a plan? I think so. Good stuff. And Dust in the Wind. Jake Krager and I hung out and we were singing Dust in the Wind in the parking lot after the Pump 5 show. That's why he's picking that one. All we are is dust in the wind. It's a little pitchy there, dog. Anywho, guys, fun hangout tonight. I got to go eat my my dinner I made out there. But good stuff.
Hey, bud, let's party.
Yeah, I'm going to give you guys a wave goodbye. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, we do this every Wednesday. Come here and ask me whatever you want. I don't care anymore. I'll talk about it. And please be here Tuesday. Please, we're going to do the 30th episode of The Fright Bite, me and Dahlia Dark. It's going to be so super dope. All right, you guys, be cool and be kind to each other.